A game so unpredictable. A game with good and evil. A game with drama. A game with emotions. And a game that mentally strains people like nowhere else. Everyone has to stay on their toes this season. The faithful have to keep up a good track record for voting out traitors. But they aren't the only ones that'll be tested. For now, let's just say the traitors will have their relationships truly tested within the turret this time around. Traitors is back for a third season, and just like last season, we're bringing in 12 brand new reality show contestants who want to prove their worth. They dreamed to be on this show. And here they are, ready to face the challenge that comes with this game. On the other hand, we have 12 returning players from various reality shows. Survivor, Big Brother, and even the previous 2 Traitors seasons. The battle for the giant prize pot is on, and it's going to be a super competitive season ahead of us. Will the faithful win for once? Or will the traitor team secure a third victory? It's time to bring in the cast in groups of 4, starting with Quinn, Liz, Mike, and Colin. In confessional, Liz introduces herself as a happily married woman. Actually, there's a lot more to her. She's a social media influencer with a huge following. Being a social media person requires a lot of communicating each and every day to a large audience. Whether she's a faithful or traitor, she hopes her social game carries her through this game. She doesn't want to embarrass her 2 kids and her husband and end up as a flop. In another confessional, Colin introduces himself as a designer for clothing. He runs his own clothing brand with his girlfriend. It of course started off difficult, but over time, their brand grew more and more. Today, he considers their business a successful one. However, that prize money would 100% help them expand even further. The 4 players then have a seat in the banishment room, so the next 4 new players begin making their way to the castle, those being Alicia, Dylan, Shawnee, and Leon. In confessional, Alicia cheers out loud, stating how blessed she is to have the privilege of stepping foot into the traitor's castle. She's built for reality TV, and the audience isn't ready for her. She's going to destroy her competition one at a time, and whether she's faithful or a traitor, she will be brutal in her gameplay. She's here to win, just like everyone else. In another confessional, Leon introduces himself as a UX designer and a single father to his son, Maeve. His son means the world to him, and it's hard to leave him for roughly 2 weeks. However, he's here for a reason, and that's to prove how strong he is to his son. When Maeve watches this, he'll hopefully feel proud of Dad. The second group enters the banishment room, and then the third and final newbie group heads towards the castle, those being Alexis, Chris, Tiffany, and Tanya. In confessional, Tiffany states that she's actually the youngest player to step foot in the traitor's castle. Being only 18 isn't a problem for her at all, though. She's extremely smart. As a mathlete, she's required to use her brain every single day, going up against other elite thinkers in various competitions. Age is just a number for her. She's probably going to end up outsmarting a 40-year-old. In another confessional, Chris introduces himself as a lawyer. However, he knows how dangerous it is to reveal that to the rest of the players. So instead, he's going to make up a career that he never thought he'd make up. He's going to claim he's a model. Yes, a model. That was his wife's idea, so he's going to commit to that lie. Hopefully she didn't purposely sabotage him by making him do this. The final group of newbies sit down in the banishment room, unaware of how dangerous the final 12 players really are. The first 4 reality stars that make their way to the castle are Trance, Alec, Adriana, and Neymar. In confessional, Adriana blows a kiss and claims that the redhead queen is back and better than ever. She competed against her rival on season 5 of Survivor, and unfortunately, that rival outlasted her. However, she was a fighter from start to finish. She can be a savage when she wants to. Nobody can stop her. Playing Traitors is perfect for her redemption. This game will be hers. In another confessional, Neymar claps and congratulates herself for coming back. She admits she was extremely robbed the last time she played this game, that being in Season 1. There was a rat that ended up shredding her game. That rat was Theo. He had a sole vote at the first banishment of the season, and he decided to banish her. Now that she's back, she can actually prove her worth. Maybe even as a traitor, if that opportunity is given to her. She does not plan to disappoint this time around. The 4 reality stars then walk into the banishment room, and all of the newbies are stunned to see them, though a few smile as they expected this to happen. The next 4 returnees to make their way in are Pablo, Theo, Ella, and Carmen. In confessional, Carmen sighs and claims she feels really bad for everyone else in this game. They just don't stand a chance against her. She's a badass mom who knows how to get her way. She's a great role model for not just her kids, but also other moms out there who aren't confident in their potential to be a badass. However, she's not playing Traitors to solely be some motherly role model. Hell no. She came here to win at least one reality show. 4th place on Big Brother International just didn't cut it for her. The 4 then enter the banishment room, and everyone is stunned to see the 4 who come in. However, Neymar immediately makes a disgusted face, and Theo notices her in the room. In confessional, Theo says yikes out loud, unsure how to feel seeing Neymar back on the same season as him. He literally crushed her dream 2 seasons ago, and she wasn't happy about it. There's no doubt in his mind she will target him the first chance she gets. However, he won this show before. He knows how to navigate this game, and he won't let anyone take him down so easily. Back in the room, Tanya whispers to Tiffany, asking her if she knows if anyone here is dangerous, but Tiffany ignores her. Tanya then nudges her, but Tiffany asks her to remain quiet because they aren't allowed to talk. In confessional, Tanya makes a confused face, stating how she asked a simple question to the young lady beside her since she doesn't really know these reality star people. But instead of giving a proper answer to her question, that lady essentially told her to shut up. Talk about horrible first impressions. She already senses bitchy energy there. The final 4 reality stars to enter are Betty, Ryan, Telly, and Divin. In confessional, Ryan says that he's glad to be back on reality TV. He never thought he'd find the time to come back, but hey, Traitors is short enough for him to play. He also noticed the person next to him, that being Telly. The 2 of them essentially ran Survivor second chances, and in the end, it was him who betrayed Telly in order to better his chances at winning. Unfortunately, he got out at Final 4, right after taking her out. Of course, he regrets making that move against her. He's not here to battle Telly. He'll do his best to protect her this time around as an apology for what he did to her. In another confessional, Telly sighs and says it's bittersweet to see Ryan back, but they are still friends on the outside world. It's just she didn't want to play any sort of competitive game with him anymore. She doesn't want them to suddenly lose their friendship over a game. However, nothing will stop Ryan from betraying her again if he ever feels the need to, and she'll just have to keep that in the back of her mind this time. The final 4 reality stars then enter the room, and a lot of people drop their jaws in reaction to seeing Ryan and Telly. Liz looks at Mike and tells him there's absolutely no way they are in the same room as Ryan and Telly right now. Mike admits it's super hard to believe, especially since they are essentially king and queen of Survivor. In confessional, Mike feels a lot of excited energy around him. Liz, likely the biggest reality show fan out of the newbies, shared how happy she was to see Ryan and Telly enter the room. However, he himself is not that happy. As a private investigator, he not only helps his clients, but he also makes sure to defeat the true evil. This game is just like that. Almost all of these reality stars are dangerous to the newbies. They've had their time on TV. They know what they are doing, and that's a threat for his game. With all 24 players now settled into the banishment room, they are all briefly told how this game works. In a moment, the lights will turn off, and a select number of players will be chosen to be traitors. Everyone else will be a faithful. Every round, there will be a murder by the traitor's hands. This will allow the faithful to get a small or perhaps a big clue as to who could have done the murder. In the middle of the day, there is a faithful crown ceremony where everyone will vote someone for the shield. This shield protects the holder from murder, and only the shield holder will be aware of their shield. Nobody else will know. Not even the traitors, unless they themselves have possession of it. Afterwards, a banishment will take place. The players will discuss their thoughts, and then they will show their votes publicly as to who they think the traitor is. The player eliminated will reveal their role, and then the game proceeds with another round of gameplay. In order for the traitors to win, they need to survive until the very end of this game. As for the faithful, they need to eliminate every single traitor. Being next to even one traitor at the very end will result in a traitor victory. With the rules now explained, the lights turn off, meaning it's time for the traitors to be chosen. In confessional, Ella says she would die to become a traitor this season. She would be perfect for this game because nobody would see her as a threat right off the bat, compared to some other more known reality stars. In another confessional, Alex says his game face is on. He would much rather be a traitor this season. He's built like one. Some may say he has an intimidating nature to him. He did a lot in Survivor China to make him a well-known player. He feels like this season needs an interesting group of traitors, and he'd definitely spice things up. In another confessional, Shawnee says she surprisingly doesn't want to be a traitor this season. It just feels like there's too much responsibility with the role, so it would stress her the hell out. In another confessional, Betty begs to be chosen as a traitor. Nobody would ever expect someone so tiny like her to be an evil backstabber. A traitorous backstabber, in fact. In another confessional, Quinn says she basically already speaks the language of traitor. She knows many languages, and the language of traitor is one of them. Nobody else would compare to her. In another confessional, Trance says he feels like he absolutely deserves to become a traitor this season. He may have been really messy on his season of Survivor, but that doesn't eliminate the fact that he's intelligent in these strategy games. Back in the banishment room, everyone remains seated in the silent dark. Only coughs, sniffles, and shuffles can be heard. Chris is the first to get his shoulder tapped, and in confessional, Chris smiles because he never thought he'd be selected as a traitor this season. Now he has zero reason to tell anyone about his true career as a lawyer. Dylan gets his shoulder tapped next. In confessional, Dylan drops his jaw and says he was extremely gagged when his shoulder got tapped. A million things ran through his mind in that moment, including the fact that he has two secrets now that he has to hide from everyone. The fact that he personally knows one of the people in this room is just chilling because now he has to lie to their face every single day. Unless they also get chosen as a traitor, which he would much prefer. Adriana gets her shoulder tapped, and in confessional, Adriana whips her hair back and says she now knows 100% that she will win this game. Nobody will clock her as a traitor. They will think she's just some dramatic faithful who has no clue what she's doing. Back in the room, one final player gets their shoulder tapped, and it's Telly. In confessional, Telly breathes out and says she's actually extremely nervous that she's playing this game as a traitor. She already has a lot of eyes on her for being a massive game player in her previous season of Survivor. However, she just has to convince everyone that Survivor and Traitors are two completely different shows. Heck, it's been proven before because she sucked at Big Brother International. What makes her more nervous is the fact that she'll have to keep this a secret from Ryan, who probably knows her the best out of anyone here. However, she'd much rather do that than have him as a traitor teammate because she'd rather be in control of her game and not be influenced by him. Back in the banishment room, the lights turn on, and it's confirmed that the traitor team has been selected. Nobody knows for sure how many traitors are in this room now. Not even the traitors. Yet. They will find out tonight when they meet in the traitor turret. As for now, everyone should get to know each other and figure out their early suspicions. Everyone looks around the room intensely, and in confessional, Alexis admits it was pretty intense in the room with everyone staring each other down. It's hard to tell who is suspicious right off the bat because there's barely any information to go off of. In another confessional, Divin says he's pretty bored after being chosen as a faithful. He wanted to be a sick bastard in that traitor turret and take out his opposition, but now he can't do that. So, he doesn't mind becoming a messy faithful because that's more fun than doing nothing. Divin then states out loud that he's pretty sure there's 3 traitors this time around since they had 4 to start off last season. If he had to guess, there are probably 2 reality star traitors and 1 newbie traitor in here. Nobody comments off of that, and Neymar then asks everyone if anyone noticed anything odd right off the bat. Alicia says she personally doesn't have any suspicions right now, but she wants to make it clear that the traitors better not feel comfortable this time around. Their necks will be on the cutting board 24 hours a day. Leon says it's about time they get a faithful victory, and many people nod in response. With the 4 traitors selected, everyone is now allowed to roam the castle to familiarize themselves with other people. Alec and Betty enter a room alone, and Alec immediately tells Betty he'll have her back this season no matter what. Betty says the same, and in confessional, Alec says he immediately wanted to let Betty know he has her back this season. He wants to be on her side as they come from the most recent Survivor season. They don't have a reason to go after each other when they have so many other people in here who might be threats to them. In another room, we have Carmen, Colin, Mike, Adriana, and Tanya chatting together, and Tanya asks the group if they know who the girl in the school uniform is. Mike says her name is Tiffany, and Tanya scoffs, calling Tiffany a massive bitch. Carmen tells Tanya to spill the tea, and Tanya admits that Tiffany basically told her to shut up when she wanted to ask her a simple question about the reality stars. In confessional, Tanya says she doesn't mind throwing Tiffany under the bus because her attitude is extremely rich for a young person. Is Tiffany a traitor? Who knows? All she knows is that if Tiffany doesn't act like a bitch anymore, that's a huge indicator that she's a traitor. Carmen then says that she personally doesn't trust that Telly and Ryan duo. One of them has to be a traitor because it wouldn't make sense for them both to return and neither get the role. Adriana says she feels like only one would be the traitor. Not both. Colin agrees, but he's more concerned about the whole Theo and Neymar situation. He feels like one of them would be a great traitor to make an interesting storyline this season. Neymar obviously wants revenge for what Theo did to her on season 1. In confessional, Adriana says she really hopes she's the only reality star traitor this season because none of these stars would excel as one. They'd probably drag down the team because all eyes are on them. Hopefully she can be a manipulator in her traitor team and get her way every single murder. In the kitchen, Liz asks if anyone wants tea, and Chris says he'd love some. Pablo then thanks her, calling her a true castle mom. Liz laughs and says she never goes a day without tea. In confessional, Pablo says he's trying to observe faces super early into the game. This is because he wants to study how people act now compared to 2 or 3 days from now. Anyone who seems too relaxed will automatically be on his radar. He doesn't have any early suspects, but he certainly feels like there's going to be at least 2 reality star traitors this season. Liz then asks the group if anyone feels off about anyone yet, and Chris admits it's really hard to tell who is suspicious so soon. It might be better for everyone to stay tight-lipped for now because accusations would be way too random right now. Leon agrees and says things will surely get more explosive starting tomorrow. There's never a roundtable discussion without some sort of back-and-forth action. In confessional, Liz says she actually feels pretty good about the kitchen group of Pablo, Chris, and Leon. One thing she knows is that people come to the kitchen to feel surrounded by the one thing they love most, and that's food and drink. Herself included. She just assumes none of these 3 would have come to the kitchen right off the bat if they felt super safe with their role. In a different room, Shawnee and Dylan are alone, and Dylan covers his face, admitting he's so nervous to be in here with her. Shawnee hugs him, telling him they are going to do just fine. In confessional, Shawnee says that she and Dylan are best friends in the outside world. It comes as an advantage for them because they already feel a sense of trust with each other. They need to keep their friendship a secret though. If it comes out to anyone, that's a huge bullseye on their backs. Dylan then tells Shawnee that if anyone comes in here, they need to act like they just found out that they are both gay as an excuse for being alone. Shawnee bursts out laughing and calls him mental for that. She looks way more straight than him, but Dylan says she dresses like a lesbian and acts straight. Shawnee shrugs and says that equals to bisexual, which she is. In confessional, Dylan says he feels very sad having to keep this huge secret from his bestie Shawnee, but he has no choice. They are both playing for different factions. He can't let her start suspecting him because she'll probably feel forced to let everyone else know. Outside, Trance, Ella, Neymar, and Ryan chat together, and Trance says he feels like the reality stars have to stick together early on, just to make sure they aren't steamrolled by these newbies. Ryan says he's obviously cool with this because him and Telly are huge threats right off the bat, regardless of their roles. Neymar grins and says she personally doesn't trust Theo, but she won't target him right away because she doesn't have a reason to. He can't do anything to her right now. In confessional, Ella says she actually doesn't feel good about Neymar, Ryan, or even Trance. She's trying to think of who could be a perfect reality star traitor, and it's likely someone who is coming in here with a close friend. Trance is her friend, but that also means he could be an unsuspecting traitor. She won't let that blind her. Same thing with Neymar and Ryan. Even though Neymar isn't friends with Theo, that's a rivalry that would be even more spicy if one of them were a traitor. Even though some of these stars want to stick together, she doesn't feel the same way. Alec and Betty then join the group, and Trance fills them in that they were discussing about the reality stars sticking together for right now. It's to ensure they don't get picked off early on. Betty says she's cool with it since she doesn't trust any of those newbies right now. Alec also says he's good with this. The best they can do at this point is try figuring out which newbies or singular newbie is a traitor. Meanwhile in the bar, Alicia, Colin, Divin, Quinn, and Carmen hang out, and Alicia straight up says that she vibes with all of them here. Divin agrees and says they all have similar energy as people. In confessional, Colin says that a friend group seemed to have blossomed between himself, Alicia, Divin, Quinn, and Carmen right off the bat. There's like a magnet that keeps them together, which seems so random because it's only the first hour of the game. Quinn then states they are basically the bad bitches of the castle, and Carmen nods with a smile. Alicia says nobody compares to them. In confessional, Alicia says she hopes she's not making herself a target right away by forming this friend group right off the bat. However, it's partially strategic to keep herself safe from the traitors. She doesn't want to be the first one murdered. The party cannot continue without her. Tanya then enters the room with Adriana, and Tanya thanks God that Tiffany isn't in here. Carmen laughs and says that girl is too young to be drinking anyway, so she wouldn't be in here. Quinn then asks about the random beef Tanya has with Tiffany, and Tanya says she just can't stand that little girl's attitude. They will all know what she means when they get to know Tiffany a bit better. It's now time we get to the first faithful crown ceremony of the season, so everyone is in the yard, awaiting instructions. Just like the previous 2 seasons, the game has to start off with an interesting twist to the first ceremony of the season. For today, everyone will vote in secret for a player they trust with the power of a super shield. The super shield has massive power that could also potentially murder a traitor. Tonight, the traitors will select 4 players to nominate for murder. They can pick 4 faithful, or a mix of faithful and traitors. Then, the super shield holder will learn which 4 players were nominated, and they must save 3 of the 4 nominees. The person not saved will be murdered as a result. The super shield holder cannot be nominated for murder. With that, it is then asked if anyone wants to say anything before this vote, and Alex says it would make the most sense if they all vote the person who seems more true to their word than anyone else. Leon agrees and says they should vote someone who hasn't been too quiet these past few hours, but also has contributed in some personal chats to get to know people. He personally wants to volunteer Liz for this because he feels like everyone can agree that a mom is more trusting than anything in this world. Carmen squints and says she too is a mom, so she can also be trusted. Trance then straight up says that he would rather have a reality star get this power because they are all at a disadvantage right off the bat. They all have bullseyes on their backs for being returning players. Tanya says she respectfully disagrees with him because a lot of the stars know each other already. Adriana laughs and says she doesn't mean to sound rude, but she has to agree that the stars have more of an upper hand than these newbies who don't know each other. Trent shrugs and says they are all entitled to their own opinions, so it's cool. Betty then says that at the end of the day, people are going to play selfishly, so of course she wants to see a reality star win this super shield. Just like how the newbies want a newbie to win it. Tiffany then speaks up and says it's probably more wise if they just vote regardless of the division of stars and newbies. This isn't Survivor or Big Brother. It's called Traitors. Tanya laughs and says she actually agrees with that. With that, everyone is then asked to vote in secret, and in confessional, Alicia says she's voting Quinn for this super shield because she fully trusts her as a faithful. She gets zero traitor vibes from her, and they get along really well in here. In another confessional, Trance says he's voting Ryan with the hope that the other reality stars vote the same way. In another confessional, Chris says he's going to vote Liz for this shield because he wants to establish trust with her. He genuinely thinks she's a faithful, so maybe he could use her as a number for later. In another confessional, Ella says she's choosing to play her own game, and she's not going to take any influence from the stars. Especially Trance because he's starting to seem like a possible suspect to her for being super vocal right off the bat. She's going to vote for Alicia for the super shield because the energy Alicia gives off feels super genuine and raw, so that's a likely faithful she can spot right away. With all 24 votes now in, the results are ready to be revealed. With 8 total votes, the winner of the super shield is Liz. That means Liz is safe from murder tonight. In addition, she will learn of the 4 nominated players for murder and select 3 of them to keep safe. All of this will occur tonight. Liz then thanks everyone for voting her, and in confessional, Liz says she's ecstatic to have won this super shield. This is massive for her game moving forward because it shows that people actually trust her with power. This probably means she has to be careful of the traitors going forward since she's a juicy murder target for them. With night soon approaching, the players still have some time to chat with each other before nighttime, and in a room, Leon, Liz, Chris, Mike, Adriana, and Tanya chat together, and Tanya says no offense to Adriana, but the reality star crap is pissing her off. Adriana says she understands her and also agrees that it's a bit much from Trance and Betty. This game is more than just stars versus newbies. Leon says he's not even going to act like this game is for the newbies. He simply does not care about who is a star and who is a newbie. He cares more about who is a traitor, and clearly Trance and Betty give off that energy right now. Mike agrees and says he's leaning more towards Trance. He just seems like the voice for the reality stars, as if he's trying to set up an early alliance going for him. Betty, Telly, and Dylan enter the room, and Betty asks what's up. Tanya then straight up says that she doesn't appreciate this split her and Trance are trying to create between stars and newbies. It's a bit irritating and unfair. Betty squints and asks if she's not allowed to have her own opinion in here. Tanya says she never said that. She's just trying to get her to understand that this season shouldn't be newbies against stars. Leon says he has to agree with Tanya here. Betty interrupts and says she doesn't appreciate how this is turning into a gang up against her. It's getting weird and nasty. In confessional, Betty says she personally doesn't understand what Tanya is trying to get at. The newbies are obviously going to try sticking together early on because they are intimidated by the reality stars. Pretty ironic how she's crying unfairness all of a sudden. Betty then tells Tanya she doesn't want to get in it with her right now because she doesn't want to get irritated before bed. Tanya asks her why she can't understand her side of this argument, and Betty says it's because she's being weird. Tanya scoffs, telling her that she's the weird one if anything. Both her and Trance are dividing the castle for no reason. In confessional, Telly says she has no idea what's going on and why there's beef between Betty and Tanya. It's just the most random fight she's ever witnessed. Clearly they are both faithful if they are willing to get so loud right off the bat. In the meantime, Alicia, Quinn, Colin, Alec, and Theo have a conversation, and Alicia admits she doesn't like what Trance and Betty have been trying to do lately. It's clear they want to set up the newbies for failure, and it's very weird. Alec says he doesn't have any association to whatever Trance and Betty were trying to do, and in confessional, Alec says he has to back away from the Reality Stars alliance after the stupidity of Trance and Betty. There was no reason for them to be so upfront about the stars needing to work together, especially in front of all the newbies. It's insane what they are doing. Colin says he can't trust Trance and Betty moving forward because only a traitor would push super hard for a divide like this. Theo agrees and says he doesn't see a reason for this game to be divided based on status. Alicia admits she's now glad Liz won that super shield because if Trance or Betty get nominated for that murder, they are getting the boot in the ass right off the bat. Quinn says she wouldn't be shocked if they go so far as to nominate themselves as traitors to try blending in. Alicia laughs and says they can try it. She knows damn well Liz won't let it slide. With a day full of chaos now coming to an end, the players say goodnight to each other as it will be the last for one of them. The only people guaranteed to live another day are Liz and the traitors themselves. In confessional, Dylan says he's excited yet nervous to find out who his traitor partners are. So much mess went down the last hour of the day, so his hope is that his traitor partners weren't involved in that drama. It's now fully night time, and Chris enters a room with a book in it. He reads the traitor's oath, learning that he's to always conceal the identity of the traitors. Anytime he throws a traitor under the bus, he cannot risk revealing his own role. Chris nods after reading the oath and signs the page. He puts on his cloak and makes his way out. In confessional, Chris says he's going to have to put on his game face in front of these other traitors. You can never trust anyone in this game, including your own traitor team. They can backstab you at any moment. Dylan then enters the room next and signs the oath, and then he puts on his cloak and walks out. Adriana is next to read the oath, and she smiles as she signs the page. In confessional, Adriana says she's ready to spill blood all around the castle. It seems like a lot of fun to have all the control in the turret every night. All of these faithful are scared to die, while she can sleep peacefully in bed after signing someone's murder. Telly is the final traitor to read the oath, and she confidently signs the oath and puts on her cloak. In confessional, Telly says she feels ready to be a traitor. This is her season. She knows she can do well. Step 1 is befriending her other traitors so they don't betray her first. Inside the traitor turret, all 4 traitors are in the room, cloaked. They then unveil their hoodies, and are immediately stunned and excited to see each other. Chris immediately says this is great, and Adriana agrees. She's gobsmacked that they have a solid team right off the bat. Dylan admits he was worried one of the traitors would be the people involved in the drama. That wouldn't have been good for them. Telly smiles and says she feels like they are going to be a great family of traitors. Chris agrees and says he just can't believe he's standing in here with 2 legends of the game. Even Dylan might be a soon-to-be legend. Dylan laughs and says of course jokingly. Telly then asks the group on their thoughts of this super shield, and Chris says he feels like it's in great hands. Liz doesn't seem like she's against any of them. Telly shrugs and says she feels like Liz doesn't have anything against any of the faithful either. She's a welcoming soul to all. Dylan says he doesn't see Liz lasting for long, though. Perhaps her super shield decision could raise suspicion on her. Chris then asks what they should do for the 4 murder nominees, and Telly suggests they do 2 newbies and 2 veterans. 2 women and 2 men. It wouldn't give anything away as to why the 4 were chosen. Dylan then says they should pick people who weren't in any drama because they need to keep this shit whirling like a laundry machine. Chris then suggests Colin as a possible nominee since he hasn't been involved in the drama. He also suggests Alexis as another option because she's been very friendly with everyone. Dylan says he's cool with that, and then states that Telly and Adriana should be the ones to suggest the reality star nominees. Telly then says that she personally wants to put Divin in danger of murder because he and Ryan both know her pretty well. She's just worried that Divin will be more cutthroat against her than Ryan. At least as of now. Adriana then says she wants to put Neymar and Theo as options as well. They've played this game before, so they know what to look at when identifying suspects. Especially Theo because he won this game as a traitor. Telly then says that she personally wants Divin in there over Theo because she'd feel a lot better without him here. Neymar would be the best female reality star choice. Chris then asks if they are locking in their 4 choices as Colin, Alexis, Neymar, and Divin, but Adriana says she has another thought. She feels like the faithful will automatically assume the nominees are all faithful. She feels like it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a traitor in the mix. The entire room goes silent, and in confessional, Chris widens his eyes and calls Adriana crazy. This woman has balls to recommend that a traitor volunteers themselves for possible death. He has no idea what Adriana is thinking. Dylan then admits he doesn't feel comfortable volunteering because he doesn't really know Liz that well yet. Adriana asks Chris if he would be willing since he has a close bond with Liz, but Chris shakes his head. He says he wouldn't go that far and risk his game like that. Telly says the same, apologizing to Adriana. Adriana then breathes out and says that she'll just put herself in. The 3 stare at Adriana, and Telly asks if she's sure about that. Adriana says yes, and in confessional, Adriana says she's willing to take huge risks in this game as a traitor. It's either go big or go home, and she sees an opportunity to clear herself with the faithful. If she survives with the super shield decision, that would benefit her game massively. Telly, Chris, and Dylan just don't see the benefits that she does, which works with her anyway because her intentions aren't obvious to them. Adriana then says she would replace Alexis with herself because she doesn't want to lessen her odds of survival by replacing a reality star. Chris says sure, so he locks in that they are nominating Colin, Neymar, Divin, and Adriana for murder. Adriana tells them to wish her luck, and Dylan says they are going to pray to Traitor Jesus tonight. A note then falls from the ceiling, and Chris picks up the note. Telly immediately drops her jaw, stating that this doesn't look good at all. Adriana says a surprise note is never good. Chris then reads the note out loud. Tonight, they will need to pick one faithful they'd like to recruit onto their team as traitors. That means they will go from 4 to 5, and the 5th traitor will meet them tomorrow night as an official traitor. Adriana's jaw drops and Dylan says the traitor Jesus hates them. Telly admits she's not a fan of having 5 traitors because it's bound to lead to disagreements in the turret going forward. Dylan then asks what they are going to do, and Chris says he has an idea in his mind. He has a person he feels like would be a great asset to their team. Liz enters the confessional room and she has a seat. She's then told that she will need to use her super shield tonight, and all will be revealed to the players tomorrow at breakfast. She, along with the 3 surviving nominees, will enter tomorrow's breakfast last. Liz is then told that the 4 nominees for murder are Colin, Adriana, Divin, and Neymar. She's then asked to select 3 players she'd like to save from murder, and Liz breathes out intensely. She admits she's a bit surprised there are 3 reality stars in the group and only 1 newbie. She also has to be aware that one of these 4 could be a traitor trying to blend in as faithful. However, she's unsure how willing a traitor would be to risk their game on night 1 like this. They would have to be absolutely insane in order to pull it off. It's possible Colin is a traitor. Maybe he volunteered to be against 3 stars, assuming he'd automatically get a pass for being a newbie. But then, she also has to think about the other three options. Divin and Adriana are huge personalities, and that could get in the way of the faithful winning. And then with Neymar, she just doesn't have the heart to leave her murdered right away. She deserves a second chance at this game. Though, she definitely would make a great traitor, which is why she can't let her heart take over her decision. Liz then says she has finalized her decision. The three people she is saving are